Most people didn't fail in 2025 because life is hard. They failed because when pressure hit, they collapsed inward. I'm not saying that from the outside. I lived it. Yes, at the start of the year, I crumbled a little. But because of what I've already been through in life, I didn't stay there for long. I moved powerfully through one of my hardest years that I've ever faced. And it wasn't luck, it was from standards. This video is for you if you want to stop letting circumstances dictate your behavior. And these are the 7 lessons that stopped 2025 from breaking me. And if you apply them, you won't repeat the same year again. At the start of the year, things didn't go as I planned. I had relationship issues, health issues, uncertainty, career problems, and I felt it. I'm not immune to emotion. But here's the mistake that most people make. They think feeling shaken, it means that they're failing. It doesn't. The difference between people who grow and people who repeat years is simple. One group feels the hit and regains control. The other lets emotion drive their behavior. If something knocked you off balance this year and you stayed down, that is not bad luck, it's a lack of response. But the good news is you can train this response. You don't need a clean year, you just need disciplined reaction. Stop waiting to feel stable. Decide how you move, even when you're not. I learned earlier this year that suffering alone, it doesn't change you. I was replaying conversations, analyzing the past, trying to understand my feelings instead of correcting my behavior. The trouble with this is it feels productive, but it isn't. If you're stuck thinking, journaling, or talking about what happened to you but nothing is changing, you're looping. You're going around in circles. Pain can only sharpen you when you extract lessons from that pain. You need to be able to ask yourself, what pattern is this exposing? What standard is missing? What behavior needs to stop? If you don't ask those questions, the same pain shows up again. Different situation, same outcome. Stop narrating your pain. Stop going in this inner dialogue and obsessing over the pain. All you need to do is you need to start dissecting the patterns instead. One of the biggest shifts I made was this. I stopped trying to do everything alone. There's a lie that a lot of people believe, that asking for help means that you're weak. Especially as a man, we're conditioned and wired to believe this. It doesn't. It means that you're serious and you want to change. I hired a life coach. I leaned on mentors. I didn't wait until things were completely broken. If you keep saying to yourself, I'm going to figure out myself, but your life hasn't changed in months, that's not strength. That's ego slowing your progress, and you're in denial. If you keep telling yourself that you're going to figure it out yourself, but life hasn't changed in months, that isn't strength. That is ego that is slowing your progress. Support doesn't replace responsibility. It multiplies it. If you've been stuck longer than you're willing to admit, get eyes on your blind spots. And sometimes we need an external person to help us with that. Coach, mentor, friend, family. This year was lonely at times, and it wasn't because people turned on me, but because I outgrew certain environments, conversations, and relationships. That gap is uncomfortable. You feel like you're no longer who you were, but you're not fully surrounded by who you're becoming. Most people, they panic here. They cling to familiarity instead and sabotage growth. I didn't. And by timing that I couldn't force, I met aligned people at the right moment. Not because I chased them, but because I became ready for them. You attract what you are. Loneliness during growth isn't abandonment. It's repositioning yourself for something better. Don't crawl back to what's familiar just to avoid being alone. Here's something important. While dealing with health issues, surgeries and pressure, I was still building a business. I was still coaching clients every day. I was still showing up for others. Not because I was pretending everything was fine, but because leadership is a standard, not a mood. The people that I was supporting, helping every day, they didn't know what I was carrying. And that's how it should be. Helping others anchored me. It kept me out of self-pity. It forced me to live what I teach. If your purpose disappears the moment life gets difficult, it wasn't purpose, it was comfort. You need to keep your responsibilities sacred, especially when it's hard. When it comes to health issues, when my body failed, it tested something deeper than strength. It tested identity. Anyone can feel confident when they're healthy, comfortable, and praised, but pressure shows you who you really are. I realized that strength, which disappears under pressure, wasn't real. So I rebuilt my identity around behavior instead of emotion. What do you do when no one is watching? When your energy is low? When things don't go your way? That is who you are. You need to build an identity that doesn't collapse when conditions change. And this huge lesson is what everything else rests on. Pain is neutral. It either sharpens you or it destroys you based on what you believe about that pain. If you believe that pain is happening to you, then you will shrink, you will fall, and you won't get up. If you believe it's shaping you, you grow and you get back up and try again. This year forced me to surrender control, to trust timing, to stop resisting what was happening and start responding properly. That mindset also changed how I moved through everything. You can decide what pain means to you, and then you can act accordingly. I didn't have an easy 2025, but I had a powerful one. I turned my worst year into my best year. Not because life went my way, but because I didn't dictate my standards. But because I didn't let life dictate my standards. If you don't extract lessons from a hard year, it repeats. 2026 is going to be the same as your 2025. 2027 is going to be the same as your 2026. It's going to keep repeating if you don't extract those lessons. If this video, if it hit you, don't just agree with it, apply it. And make 2026 powerful. And that's how you stop repeating years. That's how you move powerfully. If you came here from my page, you already know why I made this. If you want help applying these lessons properly with someone who truly cares and whose purpose is to support people who are going through a difficult time and people who know they are destined for more but just feel stuck, you know where to find me.